Okay, Edelweiss Financials, that's the stock which is in focus. Let's take stock of how the Q4 has panned out for the group. And joining me right now on the show, Rashesh Shah, Chairman and CEO of the Edelweiss Group. Rashesh, hi, good morning. Good to have you on the show and hope you and yours are doing all well and safe and trying to stay at home as much as possible.
Absolutely. I hope all of you are 80 now are also doing well. I'm amazed that you have kept the business as usual going on in spite of all this. So compliments to all of you.
Thank you so much. Yes, it has. All of us working from home as well as much as possible. Rashesh, coming back to, your Q4, and I'm just looking through the earnings. Conservative approach, I would say, and also a spike in provisions has clearly managed to impact the profitability for FY20. But, FY20, Rashesh, is the thing of the past. I want you to look forward, look ahead, and tell me how FY21 is going to be, and when can you actually see profitability recover?
See, absolutely. I think all the decisions we have made have been keeping in mind that, there is going to be a post-COVID world. We have to accept that we don't know when, but there is going to be a post-COVID world. And the idea is to use this time to become stronger so that when COVID gets over, I think after December 2020 is where we will see the post-COVID environment. And I think India growth story is still intact. We have put all the things on the ground. I think COVID will impact. COVID will have an impact on asset quality, and that is what we have tried to do. We have tried to estimate what the COVID impact is and also take it in Q4, though these are results for March, and you can argue that COVID impact is after that. Our board and audit committee decided that as much as we can anticipate, as much as we can do that, this is a good time to do that. And fortunately for us, because you would have seen last couple of years, we've been degrowing our credit book. Our borrowings have come down by almost 14,000 crores. So we have a lot of excess equity, and having such high capital adequacy in a time of this is not a good thing. So we might as well convert that extra capital into impairments. So these have all been impairments that we have taken, keeping in mind the growth. I think growth should come back post December 2020. We just have to see. And I keep my fingers crossed that we don't have a wave 2, we don't have a lot of economic impact. June has been a good month from economic recovery point of view, so I keep my fingers crossed, and I do think that India will come back. We just have to tackle this crisis at the utmost.
Yeah, and learn to live with it perhaps as well. Rashesh, this is really the season of fundraisers, and you also are joining the bandwagon. I understand that you're looking to raise about 1,500 odd crore rupees as well of equity capital in wealth and asset management. Share with us some details if you have. What is the kind of investor interest that you're seeing, and more importantly, how is it that you're going to utilize the proceeds once you do raise these funds?
So as you know, Edelweiss is now into 4 businesses that we have been structured. One is our credit business, which is well capitalized, which is facing headwinds. In fact, the problem in credit is not equity in that business, but more borrowing, because liquidity has been dry. So that is why that business has not grown. And the impairment and asset quality impact also we have taken in that business. Our asset and wealth management business has been growing well. In fact, ironically, this quarter, even April, May, June, has been good for asset and wealth management. I mean, I'm sure you must have seen a lot more people rejigging their portfolios. People are trading equities a lot more. We have added a lot of new customers. We added new assets under advice in this quarter. So asset and wealth management is a strong growth business. Our own strategy going forward is to focus more on asset and wealth, because we think these are not capital intensive businesses. And I think India is now truly getting scale, and we are among the top players in asset and wealth management in India. So we want to grow that business, which requires capital. So idea is to raise capital for that business, because even our capital is now fairly ring fenced across all the businesses, and all the businesses are adequately capitalized. The credit business is adequately capitalized for its needs. And since it has no growth, it doesn't need more capital. But EGIA, our asset and wealth management business, has a lot of growth ahead of it. So we would like to raise some capital there, so that, as I said, post 2020 December, we can start, chugging along our growth. There'll be M&A opportunities, acquisition opportunities in asset and wealth. I think a lot of consolidation will also happen. So it's good to be capitalized. And I think this time everybody is realizing that post-COVID, the more well-capitalized you are, the stronger you will be.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, I want to talk about wholesale portfolio, Rashesh, because ECL Finance also intends to sell down another 3,000 crore rupees of wholesale portfolio in FY21. Where do you see exposure when it comes to wholesale finance actually dropping down to, and which are the segments that you're going to be focusing in on for growth in the financial year ahead?
So I think in this year we are not looking at a lot of credit growth at all, both wholesale and retail. Wholesale, our strategy has been to bring it down. By 2022, we want to make wholesale into zero. And the reason for that is we want to convert the wholesale credit strategy into an asset management strategy. What we have learned in the last few years is wholesale credit is good business, but a lot of that is like project finance and hence can't be done in an NBFC format. A lot of that needs to be done in an AIF format, because in an AIF format, you don't have ALM mismatch, you don't have NPA issues, because then it's a fund, it's a closed-ended fund, and investors also get a higher return on that. So we're seeing a lot of interest on that. We currently already have more than 21,000 crores of assets under management in this kind of credit strategies. So in our NBFC, in 2 years, wholesale will become zero. And we are going towards that gradually. At the peak, the wholesale was about 20,000 crore. We are now down to about 12,000 crore. And slowly and steadily, by selling down plus organically reducing the wholesale book, we want to make wholesale zero in the next 2 years. And in credit, after December 2020, we want to focus on retail and SME business, but a lot more digital-led, a lot more analytics-led. And we've been doing a lot of work on that. And that will also be a lot more partnership with banks. We think the formula going forward, even for retail, should be NBFCs and banks partnering with each other rather than competing with each other. So I think this year, credit, we will see most of the NBFCs and all will degrow, because I think given the environment and the liquidity and all, most of the NBFCs will choose to degrow and then get ready for growing post 2020. And in that, our strategy will be to grow in retail and SME after that.
Okay, sure. So also to get your thoughts from an industry perspective, given that we've seen a good recovery from the March lows, investor participation also has been on an upward graph. What are you tracking in terms of trends for the asset and wealth management business? Do you feel the sustained traction is here to stay? Are there particular segments as well within the EGI business that are seeing better traction than others?
Absolutely. I think the good thing that I've seen last 3-4 months, March was a big shock, I think, for all of us when this happened end of March. And April, people were still trying to recover from that shock. So March and April, we saw a lot of panic. But the good thing is, I think Indian investors are fairly mature, and the way they have come back in May, June, and now increasingly most investors, including high net worth retail, are all saying, how do we think of the post-COVID environment? And we have seen, obviously, equity markets have done well. People are saying that India, I think, growth will come back. So good quality equity is always going to be a good investment opportunity. But we've seen a lot of interest in fixed income strategies, in yield-oriented strategies, because as you know, there has been a lot of upheaval in the bond market. The bank interest rates have come down. So we are seeing more and more people saying, how do I earn good return? Like 5-6 months ago, we had launched the Bharat Bond ETF, and the first tranche of that was launched in December. That has done very well. We launched it at 12,500 crore. Now the corpus has grown to 14,000 crore. We're also doing the tranche 2 of that. And we're seeing a lot of interest in this kind of products. People want yield, people want capital protection, people want liquidity. And wherever you can find a good mix of this, good yield, good liquidity, good capital protection, there is a lot of investor interest. Obviously, equities have been doing well and equities will continue to do well. But yield-oriented strategies are also becoming very important for investors.
Sure. What are you advising your customers, Rashesh, on the back of what you're anticipating in terms of recovery and the kind of momentum we've seen so far? What are you advising investors?
I think obviously there is going to be a lot of up and down and volatility, because this healthcare crisis is truly real. And a lot of people are talking about wave 2 and wave 3 and all, but I think equity markets will be impacted by liquidity and the sentiment that is there. And we are telling investors not to focus too much on liquidity and sentiment, but to really focus on fundamentals on a longer term basis. You will have to think long term, because if you think the next 3 months, I don't think anybody knows. I don't think the COVID and vaccine and the economic impact and even the moratorium and what is the impact of the post-moratorium, all of that. We're hoping RBI announce at what time restructuring and all, but all of those are uncertainties that are there. So the short term is very uncertain, but the moment you look beyond December 2020 or March 2021, I think there is a lot of clarity from an investment strategy that comes in, and we are constantly working with our clients and our investors to look at that, to look at the next 3 years after 2020, because the next 3 months are hard to see. The next 3 years should be easier to see.
And just on the credit front, A, how many customers have opted for a moratorium? Secondly, are you also seeing any uptick in demand and inquiries? What are the kind of behavior trends that you're seeing in non-delinquent customers?
So actually, June has been a very interesting month on that. So I think in April, we had almost about 40% customers had opted for moratorium. That has come down to about 25, 26 now in June. Because of two things, I think as economic activity has picked up and a lot of customers have realized that moratorium also, they still have to pay interest. So a lot of customers who were conserving cash but had cash with them have opted to pay out and all. And one of the other things we have done is in the last couple of months, we have done 5,000 to 6,000 customer calls on the credit business every day. So one of the things we decided is to reach out to customers, understand the needs. The customers who had the cash but were just conserving it unnecessarily, we educated them on what the cost is for them. So rather than keep idle cash, they might as well repay and reduce their interest burden. The customers that needed more cash and all, we have tried to work out something. We are still disbursing some SME customers who are very viable but have a cash flow mismatch. So I think what was very important is to be engaged with the customer so that you can understand each one's need and work on that. And the last 2 months have gone in that. So rather than focus on disbursements, we focus on customer education, customer outreach, and customer connect. And that has helped us a lot. So June has been very encouraging from that point of view.
Fabulous. Thanks so much for joining us this morning, Rashesh. Always good speaking with you and getting a sense of things to come.
Thank you very much.
All right. Also joining us this morning, Gagan Bhanga, the VC and MD at Indiabulls Housing Finance, to discuss their quarterly numbers and more. Gagan, thanks for joining us this morning. Now, you reported weak profitability mainly on the account of higher provisioning for the quarter. So, barring this on the account of macro uncertainties, what were some of the other